Well, here we go again, folks. The Disney Plus MCU strikes again. Oh, wait.
Oh, this is gonna make me mad. Oh! Oh, this is gonna make me mad. Oh! Whoa! This is gonna make me mad. That's so funny.
Yeah, the MCU's first ever special presentation is here. Its first holiday special, the Halloween gift that keeps on haunting. Werewolf by Night is a total throwback.
Total throwback. Werewolf by Night is a total throwback. Old classic horror movie genres.
To Giacchino's evocative score that simultaneously could only have come from him. And that's kind of the best thing about it. It stands on its own. It's not only a singular entry in the MCU,
it stands on its own.
Oozes with directorial vision, and it features easily the best new character in all of Phase 4 by way of Gael Garcia Bernal's Jack Russell.
He said it. He said it. He said the thing. He said it. He said it's the best character in Phase 4 so far. He said it. I wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't gonna say it. It's not Shang-Chi. It's not Miss Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel. Just saying. You said it. You said it. I'm not saying I agree with it. Maybe I do. Maybe I agree with it. Maybe I agree wholeheartedly. I'm not saying I do. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying.
For issues you may have with Phase 4, and oh, believe me, I sympathize, because is this phase, it's just a disappointment.
It's not disappointing. It just got bad things. You're not paying attention because Moon Knight was good. Moon Knight had some great episodes. Everything has had great shit, and people don't like it for God knows why. They're expecting something different, honestly, is what they're expecting. Do I think that they should keep expecting better? I absolutely do. I want them to keep doing this so that Marvel can keep being like, let's pump out something better, because I do think they're learning from their mistakes really, really well. But I enjoy it. I'm enjoying the things that they put out. I like it. And I'm not acknowledging that this is a mistake, like saying Marvel's creating mistakes. What I'm acknowledging is that people expect more of them. And if Marvel is going to take that seriously and they're going to say, then let's do more, then fuck yes. People just expect more, you know? And hell yeah, they should. You should always pay attention to the people that expect more so you can strive to be more, while also, you know, just fucking being you and like chilling and not working as hard and like letting yourself loose.
He distorts his own opening Marvel fanfare, signifying that, no, this will absolutely fucking not be the same old thing we've been getting during Phase 4. It's a bold statement, which frankly feels like some other MCU entries have tried to make as well, only for the ensuing film or episodes to not deliver, or just, you know, deliver more of this same schlock. You know, if you're gonna do
that, no, that was cool. He fights him, he beats him in an intellectual battle. He defeated him in the marketplace of ideas in front of everyone.
There have been occasional touches of monochrome in the MCU before. The first couple episodes of WandaVision, that one set piece in Love and Thunder.
They used the real cameras for that one. Like, they actually, in WandaVision, they used the actual setup, the mic tones, the same microphones, the same cameras, lenses. They were using that shit.
But this is the first time it feels like black and white has been successfully combined with the overall filmmaking to...
Okay. This is why I knew I would get angry. Because WandaVision definitely used it as a film. Like, they used... Do you remember how creepy WandaVision got there towards the end? Do you remember that? How they used the black and white and they did the slow zoom in when he was choking. Remember that? You remember that? So you're gonna tell me, you're really gonna sit there and you're gonna tell me that this is the first time that Marvel used monochrome to mean something? No! No, that's not true. It's not true. So shut up. How about you shut up? Did you think about that? I knew this was going to make me angry. Because you're wrong. He's wrong. And they used the actual cameras. They actually went all out. Werewolf by Night, they didn't go all out. Werewolf by Night, change of heart, sucks now. Werewolf by Night, canceled. It sucks now. I don't know if you heard, Werewolf by Night, bad actually.
He actually makes his homage more and more convincing as the special goes on. The establishing shots of Bloodstone Manor are well and good enough, but it's shots like the brilliant first reveal from the shadows of Gael Garcia Bernal's Jack Russell that really drive it home as a tribute to classic horror that still manages to have its own identity under Giacchino's style. And speaking of Jack Russell, what an inspired bit of casting! What a fascinating and honestly refreshing lead character.
Fully agree. Marvel's always been full of great performances, but he was so good. Back to that way he delivered that line, the once, I love it. Really, really well done.
Because the special is only working with 52 minutes, it doesn't draw anything out unnecessarily. That being said, it's also a little bit longer than most episodes of the Disney Plus shows, so it doesn't need to steamroll through the storyline either. In fact, because the special is a one-off, because it's not setting up the next episode, or worse, another project entirely, it feels like the story.
How is that worse? I don't understand. Like, that's what Marvel is. Why do people want Marvel not to be Marvel so bad? I keep trying to push it away from what it is. The whole thing is built upon stories that connect. This goes to the next and to the next and the next. It's supposed to like be like a chain. That's the whole idea. So why do they want them to be so wide? What's this idea of just doing one-offs? And I'm not saying they can't, but what's this idea of it being worse? Different? Sure. Worse? I don't understand that.
Under Giacchino's hand, however, and with the roadmap laid out with writers Heather Quinn and Peter Cameron, it never does. Sure, there are little comedic asides that I will say are actually integrated quite naturally and effectively, and it's not like Werewolf by Night is this...
It's not too corny. I love how uncorny it was. It actually did the relationships right. A couple people, I can't remember who of the videos we watched, they described it like Han and Chewie from Star Wars. There's this character, Han Solo, he's got this blaster, real ragtag guy, and there's another character named Chewbacca, and he is a monster, and they have a cool relationship, and it's kind of like this.
Each of the hunters also have a sort of costume, a persona they don when embarking on a hunt that isn't necessarily in line with who they are. It's something they've adopted, similar to the capes and spandex that we see on our favorite costumed heroes. You can already start to see the contrast to Russell, who doesn't put that on as a facade.
Yeah, a couple of people I want to mention here: the makeup and the set design. The maze is so well built. The way that they use arches and plants, the way they use different levels, and it reminds me of the spooky houses that people get trapped in horror movies. House on Haunted Hill or something like that. I can't remember. And then the makeup, like he said, the way they used their like costumes and the way his makeup and the way they even acknowledged it. He says like, I like your makeup, and he says it's to honor his ancestors. Really great storytelling.
It's just really who he is. He wears the makeup to honor his ancestors who passed down the gift of the werewolf to him. There's a personal connection. It's not theatrical. There's no pretense. Russell's persona is himself. The other hunters are all about the ego. They relish in the kill, the thrill of it, the rewards reaped from it. Russell, on the other...
All right, go off, bro. Go off, FilmSpeak. They're relishing in the ego. They have their costumes. His is like honorable. It's got meaning.
He wears the makeup to honor his ancestors who passed down the gift of the werewolf to him. There's a personal connection. It's not theatrical. There's no pretense. Russell's persona is himself. The other hunters are all about the ego. They relish in the kill, the thrill of it, the rewards reaped from it. Russell, on the other hand, is very much cursed by it. He doesn't enjoy the kill. It's just the curse he bears, passed down from his ancestors. It's a part of him, his bloodline, his family, while for everyone else, they willingly sink into it because it's fun. And I also find Jack fascinating as a commentary on the nature of who we deem as heroes. Even the Avengers killed people in the thick of battle, and they're mostly idolized by the public for their wartime achievements. It's no coincidence that under the opening narration, the first drawing is one of the Avengers. The public would almost certainly condemn Jack or Man-Thing just by looking at them, even if they knew nothing about him, because they're different. Jack's different. He's a monster, an untamed beast hell-bent on destruction, a prejudiced stereotype, and yet he's no less...
And like we said, we saw that Marvel was going to delve into this with the Skrulls. Like, they're taking these classical villainous archetypes and showing you their weaknesses. We've been talking about this with Spider-Man 2, the way that Spider-Man says, nah, fuck fighting them. We're going to, like, see what we can do to help them. We're going to help the villains. I love that Marvel's really taking it in there to figure out how to actually handle this. We don't have these crazy supervillains, but we have people that have, very villainous ideals in groups. Like, how do you speak to those people? Because we all lose family members to those groups sometimes. Like, how do you speak to them, and how do you talk with them? And Marvel is on the side of like using love, trying to figure out in what is right. How do you speak to people that you don't agree with? And the way that they use this character to ascribe to that, because I believe Marvel will probably, they have Blade, who's the vampire hunter. Marvel will use and protagonists on both sides try to have that conversation in their fiction here.
Jack feels way more realistic to what, you know, a human being is like. I love the scene where he first encounters Man-Thing, aka Ted, and you learn that he's not there to hunt him like the others, he's there to protect him. You learn Jack uses his privilege as a walker of both worlds, as a person, a hunter, and a monster to help those who are in danger, the ones who are preyed upon.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm about to subscribe to FilmSpeak. Shit. The way that they show his care, the way that he emotes with his eyes, the relationship that he creates with everybody, and the way that he speaks to them, and there's much genuineness, less ego. And people talk about ego in acting a lot. That's a big thing. When you're in the business of acting, you talk about egos as like a system a lot, because a lot of film is just on a screen, egos fighting each other and figuring out how to battle that. Whatever character you're playing is knowing where your ego sits on the status and who wins and what that means in the realm of ego. So to see that painted here with Marvel and the way that they are more human than usual in these superhero movies, and they're still conducting them as protagonists, how do they move forward with that? How do they show monster hunters as protagonists as well?
His responsibility is to fight for the innocent, to combat injustice against those who have done nothing to warrant it, the hunted. The scene in the crypt later on where Jack shows Elsa compassion is very telling of the kind of person he is. He's not a murderer, he's an empath.
He's an empath, guys. He's an empath. Heroes are just the empaths. The heroes of the story are just empaths. See, I'm an empath. I can feel what you're feeling, buddy. I know how you feel because
he's a beast. Even though he has every right to be there, he's just as much a person as they are, just as much a hunter. Just his targets are different.
Yeah, I'm a hunter. Yeah, I'm a hunter. Though my targets might be a little different. Am I a hunter? Huh. Yes, I am. See, my targets might be a little. Yeah, I'm a hunter, all right. But it's not what you're thinking. He's a sex offender. He's a predator. He's a sex predator. Marvel's getting into the real villains of society. We're talking about real scary shit.
He doesn't want to hurt people. He puts things in place to prevent him from doing exactly that. And yet, they want to kill Jack to keep their prosperous life safe or whatever. They're afraid of an outsider and deliberately harm and provoke him. They even force his transformation into a wolf 5 days early to the point of him having to attack and kill to defend himself. And then they label it as him being a killer.
Yeah, they labeled him. Yeah, they labeled him being a killer. He's not a killer. They did that to him. They labeled him being a killer. That's the wrong label. They put a wrong label on him. They labeled him wrong. You gotta get your label maker back out and you gotta relabel him now.
As her hands being clean because she's not doing anything to do something he was born with. Something that if you hunt the hunted for long enough, eventually they'll lash back. And to afterwards paint them as a predator is just hypocritical revisionism and, dare I say, incredibly topical.
He's right. Huh. Like some sort of revolution of good. It's like a revolution of some sort, like a yin-yang, like a yang-yang, like a yang yo-yo, like a yo-yo.
Garcia Bernal, a Mexican actor, to play the role and to put the character in such a position. There's also some commentary being made about the state of immigration in the United States, how we treat Latino men, documented or undocumented, without it being stated so overtly that it distracts from the pulpy horror homage that Werewolf by Night functions as. It's provocative imagery. A Mexican man imprisoned in a cage because he's the problem. He's the menace. He doesn't legally belong here. He disrupts their sheltered, bigoted way of life and then tortured to the point of desperate retaliation. It's inhumane and yet an all too real allegory to the immigration stories we hear today. What's so masterful and tasteful about the handling of this particular aspect is how Giacchino uses the universality of movie monsters and what they've always...
Okay. I'm cool with that. It's art, you know. I'm about that. I like that. I'm here for it. I'll sit with it on the bus next to it, start a conversation, ask him where he's coming from. But like a long bus, not a short. I wouldn't talk to someone on like a short bus ride. I wouldn't talk to him there. But if it was like a long bus ride, I'd ask him, you know, hey, where you headed? Hey, where you headed? I'd do that. That's fucking dope. That's based.
Is represented to hint at a larger theme simply by casting a brilliant actor in Gael Garcia Bernal and allowing him to fill Jack Russell with his truth. It's the kind of beautifully woven nuance and stance the MCU has been missing when trying to make statements across their projects. And that's the right effect, as it still allows you to enjoy the pulpy horror thrills, if not more so, that the special provides. There is an excellent atmosphere in the maze, even a couple quasi-jump scares that don't feel like they're there to be cheap, but actually serve as a tension relief.
I suppose because they contain meaningfulness in what they are as a jump scare. They scare each other and now they're like, I don't want to hurt you. So the fact that it deals with the story, I guess maybe it's not cheap. It doesn't lack depth. It's got meaning behind it. It's filled with substance. That might be it, but I'm not sure actually. I feel like that's something I should be able to speak on, having made horror content before. I've actually made quite a lot of horror content. I don't really know the secret to that. I just kind of make it work. I've been able to keep the art behind that while still working it and not know exact. I don't know. I need more time to think about that, but I agree. It does. It works here really, really well. I agree fully.
To keep the pace moving, Giacchino subverts the jump scare and how he reveals that Jack and Ted are friends. There's some nice humor there, and it's actually a little bit heartwarming. The best thing is that Ted is still terrifying.
I give that to the performance. I give it fully to the performance in that moment. He's able to give some real good intimacy in his eyes to that monster. I love it.
Man-Thing has some gnarly kills in this, and I seriously love how legible the fight scenes are. The cutting can be fairly quick, but it's not to the point of sensory overload or to disguise bad coverage or choreography, which a lot of other fights in the MCU are definitely guilty of. When Jack is transformed into the werewolf, the way he slaughters the entire room looks fantastic. The way he jumps from the statue, from the shadows to kill the first guard is probably the moment that Giacchino most perfectly nails the old-time horror movie aesthetic he's going for, but it all looks so great. That long hallway shot as the door is closing, the light gradually reducing to pitch darkness, save for when the electric batons light up, is unreal. It's strategically terrifying, limiting the light sources to emphasize the unpredictability of carnage, closing the window of hope for these grunts and anyone else trapped inside with Jack. Having Jack strike in flashes, the bloodshed often depicted through silhouettes and harsh shadows. It's a kind of creative decision that evokes the most primal of fears and allows our imagination to populate the situation with the most terrifying imagery imaginable. All families have something in common. They follow us throughout our lives. For good, for bad, they stay. They become an atmosphere. Sometimes we think that by doing something very specifically, we can change and not be like them. Or, as Jack puts it, referring to Ted, sometimes they're a pain in the ass we have to save all the time. We don't choose our families. We don't choose the inheritance they pass down.
And I like that, you know, it doesn't reference Jack's like immediate family. It references his relationship with Man-Thing, with Ted. It dealt with her immediate family and her relationship with her father and mother and their crazy ass shit. Jack deals with Man-Thing's crazy ass shit, but it's like worth it. They're like, no, I'm gonna keep rescuing you, little buddy. I'm gonna keep rescuing you, my guy. You big monster friendly guy. You crazy killer. That mother character was so terrifying. Not in a classical way. In fact, terrifying is not even the right word. It was just so weird. House rule.
We don't choose our families. We don't choose the inheritance they pass down to us, the curse they pass down to us. But we can make our own path. We can make our own family. We can make our own decisions. And we do not have to be burdened by what's come before. We can move forward and make something better. So Jack and Elsa have this mutual understanding and desire to not be what their family curse dictates. But after Bloodstone Manor, Save the Butler, are all wiped out, Elsa decides to make the place her own. Was that her plan all along? Or does she only do so because of happenstance, because Verussa is dead, so she might as well take advantage of it?
And that goes even further into Marvel's Phase 4 kind of thing of taking over power. How do you take over power correctly? How do you do that right? Which is an interesting conversation to have for this animated kids show in the current world political climate we have. How do you replace power when it's needed to be replaced? How do you do it correctly? It's an interesting topic. The way that they did it with Captain America and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Shang-Chi's sister. It's a big theme that Marvel keeps bringing up. And I like the different ways that each character is taking that power and changing it. I'm very excited to see what the 10 Rings does. I think that Marvel is trying to grab protagonists on both sides. So that way they're giving you protagonists like something you can like about them and then putting them in a position where they can do evil and they'll have them do evil and you don't really know how to feel about them. They're doing the Dark Avengers with fucking Elaine going around collecting all those little characters.
I mean, 90 minutes max is really all we needed for this, and it would have allowed some of Elsa's characterization to flourish more. But I don't want there to be any misconception. This is a quibble I have, not an outright criticism, right? Like, it's fine. Honestly, I think that's a great selling point. I wanted the movie to be longer. That's the best thing I could say about this special. I didn't want it to...
Everyone's saying that. Every video we've watched, people are saying, I wish it was longer. I would have loved it. I would have loved more Maze shit.
Wanted more. Give me more of this. Please make like at least 10 more of these werewolf movies. God, that would rule. It won me over probably within the first
shit, you know?
90 seconds.
More creepy, weird shit. You know, get weird, get sci-fi, get wacky. I want more icky shit. Give me that icky. Give me that gooey icky.
Adds color, this beautiful, vibrant, lush, almost Wizard of Oz-esque Technicolor.
Yeah, it's the Technicolor look too. Like, look at the reds.
There's also a bit of a meta bent to this whole Werewolf by Night thing, of Giacchino taking the trappings, the feel of a classic 30s, 40s monster movie, and using that to inform how he just might be influencing the MCU and redirecting it into a better, more satisfying direction. He's coming into this as a renowned composer, but not as a renowned filmmaker. There's a sense of him being an outsider, and he's telling a story about accepting outsiders, or the perspective an outsider can bring into a situation. And in case I've been a bit ambiguous about it so far, he wiped the goddamn floor with this thing. You don't need to have 50 directorial credits to then make it
Yeah, he did, man. He did. Okay? He did. He wiped the floor with it, all right? Floor's wiped, clean floor.
Werewolf by Night is one of the all-time triumphs of the MCU. It's one of my favorite projects they've ever done, and I can't wait to get more of Jack Russell, Elsa Bloodstone, but I especially cannot wait to get more of Michael Giacchino's incredible work as a director.
Can concur. I'm gonna subscribe to this man. A little cringe, a little weird, but I like him.